10th president. During the course of President Reuven Rivlin's distinguished public career, he served 6 parliamentary terms, held several ministerial portfolios, and served for many years as the Speaker of the Knesset. He is known as a symbol of Israel's vibrant and liberal democracy, a forceful proponent of Israel's security and diplomatic rights, as well as a loud and consistent voice on issues of equality, pluralism, and social justice. In 2015, he gave a landmark address to the annual Herzliya Conference that described a new paradigm he called 4 tribes, the effect of which was felt strongly in and outside of Israel. This historic speech was a wake-up call about the challenges and opportunities facing a changing Israeli society. And he projected an inspiring vision of what Israel can be if everyone works together to strengthen and build a nation for all. His friends simply call him Ruvi, and we at Jewish Federations are honored to be calling Ruvi our friend as well. Last year, I had the privilege on a JFNA mission of being warmly welcomed in President Rivlin's home, and now we have the privilege of welcoming the President to our home. Please rise and join me in extending a warm welcome to our friend, His Excellency, the President of the State of Israel.
Thank you so very much for your kind words.
Indeed. Take a picture.
Thank you. Thank you.
Please.
Thank you so very much. Thank you. Well, Minister of Science of the Israeli government, Ophir Akunis, Knesset member, a very brilliant Knesset member, Professor Yossi Yona, Israel's ambassador to the United Nations, Dani Danon. You are carrying a real tough job. Consul General Sam Greenberg, General Counsel in New York, Dani Danon, General Counsels of Israel in, in Boston and Houston, Richard Sandler, Jerry Silverman, Julie and Mark Platt, Gay Sanderson, and so many distinguished guests and friends of Ruvi. Yes, Ruvi is an outcome of Reuven. From Reuven, it's Ruva, and from Ruva, it's Ruvale, and from Ruvale, it became Ruvi. Here with us today is Mengistu family. And before I begin, I would like to say that the state of Israel will not rest until return of our fallen soldiers, Oron, Shaul, and Hadar Goldin. Our soldiers, Oron Shaul and Hadar Goldin, and our citizens, Abraham Mengistu and Juma Abu Ghanima, who are held by the Hamas. Dear brothers and sisters, yes, dear sisters and brothers, there is a song, a Jewish song, that became afterwards an Israeli song, and afterwards an international song being sang by Harry Belafonte even. Hinei matov u'mana'im shevet achim gam yachad. It is so good and so pleasant to sit all together with sisters and brothers, with brothers and sisters, And the song is very simple. Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. I'm not a great singer, but I would like to say I'm happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you. There is a lot of strength in this room and a lot of love. Ahavat Israel. Love for the Jewish people. Love for the state of Israel. The state of Israel was and will always be the home of every Jew. Orthodox, Reform, Conservative, Secular, Traditional, Ashkenazi, Sephardi, we are all Jews. We are all one people, and Israel is dear to all of us. My friends, Israel is the most daring enterprise in the history of the Jewish people. The Jews of the diaspora, especially in North America, are full partners, not only in the establishment of Israel, but also in its development. You are true stakeholders in the wonder called Israel. You stand beside us, a time of crisis and a time of joy. You dream with us, you challenge us, you help keep us strong, and we are strong. I'm here today to say that this cannot be taken for granted. We thank you. We thank you for this sense of family, for your unconditional support and love, for your consistent message that we Jews stick together, that Kol Israel arevim ze lazeh, as it was said before. All Jews are responsible for one another. In this, we have a lot to learn from you that is the truth and the only truth. Dear friends, I remember, yes, it was a long time ago, and the first time and the only time that my father slapped me. It was just after my bar mitzvah. Some relatives from America, from the United States, came to visit us in Jerusalem in the year 1952. I asked my relative, it was my uncle and my aunt and a few of my cousins, why don't you make Aliyah? I told them Israel is the only place for Jews. And then my father slapped me. He said, Jews need to take care one of each other, not to threaten each other. That slap made me realize that the relationship between us, the Jewish people, must be based on one simple demand: mutual responsibility, arvut hadadit, a commitment to the security and the well-being of all our people. This commitment must be stronger than any disagreements. We have the challenge of establishing our relationship as a value that is above any argument. The relations between us must be a matter that goes to the depth, to the merit of our Jewish existence, and a mission that is part of Israel's obligation to the Jewish people. Well, yes, I know, we still have a real long way to go. On the painful issue of the Kotel Agreement. It causes such pain that a symbol of unity, the wall of tears and joy, has become a symbol of division and disagreement. A close friend, leader of an American Jewish community, told me at the time, how could they do it to us? And he repeated his words, how could they do it to us? He said, the relationship between Israel and the diaspora has been one-sided over the years. We have done most of the giving, and Israel has most of the taking. This have to change. So he told me. Hearing that, an Israeli friend of mine, responded, and I quote, "We are the insurance policy of the Jewish people. There is no price to our sacrifice in blood for the future of the Jewish people," so he said. I listen to these opposite voices, and I understand both. The challenge of building the relationship between us must begin with getting to know each other better. Sometimes the way to become closer is to recognize the differences, understand the different points of view. As for the Kotel Agreement, the development of the agreement was a sensitive process led by the Israeli government in order to try to bridge the gap. I hope that in the future we can return to the table negotiation and reach an understanding on this important, very important issue. It is our mutual responsibility and a common interest. At the same time, we must all respect Israel's democratic process, the decision-making process. Whether we like it or not, in the only Jewish democratic state, religion and state is a political issue, maybe the most explosive one. You know, my friends, around 5 Israeli governments have fallen on the question like, can combat air force, can combat aircraft, not on mission, land in Israel on Shabbat? Or on the question of who is a Jew? That is democracy. My friends, you have real, positive and effective impact on the Israeli system and society. We have built strong channels of cooperation on strategic issues. You have great impact on the Israeli agenda, believe me. I ask you, don't stop, don't stop. As part of the challenge of building the relationship between us, we need to create an honest and open dialogue between the sides. This is our only way to move forward. Dear brothers and sisters, dear sisters and brothers, dear friends, our shared tasks bring us closer together. We all shared the task of establishing the State of Israel, and it united us. We are one nation. As one nation, we shall continue to fight together against anti-Semitism in all its forms. From the vandalism of Jewish cemeteries to terror attack against our brothers and sisters around the world. From BDS on campuses to attacking Israel's legitimacy in the United Nations, and Danny Dano knows that very well. there is no room for any kind of hesitation. We must continue the fight against it as one united front. We are one people. We all share the responsibility to keep Jewish identity and the Hebrew language, and to pass it from one generation to the next. This is a hard challenge in Israel. It is even harder in the diaspora. I must express my great admiration for everything you are doing, for your ensuring the Jewish identity of your children is a lifetime effort. In this too, we have much to learn. We have much to learn from your commitment. We are the people. We are one people. We are one people that has one Jewish state. Keeping Israel strong and secure is also a task we share. I always say that there are three principles in Israel's foreign policy. Well, the first one is obvious: the relationship with the United States. Second, also very important, is the relationship with the United States. And the third one, last but not least, our relationship with the United States. And Danny Danon knows that very well. You are an integral part of the unbreakable bond between Israel and the United States. This is the place to thank you. Oh, to thank you for the role you play in developing this relation, in ensuring America's commitment to the security of the State of Israel. This is also the place to thank the American administration, President Obama before, and now President Trump, for supporting Israel and keeping its strategical edge. Thank you, America. As I said to President Trump during his visit to Israel and to Jerusalem, the capital of Israel, the world needs a strong United States. Israel needs a strong United States. But the United States also needs a strong Israel. Today, Iran is establishing its control through Iraq, Syria, and Lebanon, and up to the Mediterranean. This is not just a threat to Israel, it is a threat to the entire world. Iran is the #1 exporter of international terrorism. It is a country whose leaders call openly for the destruction of the State of Israel. We cannot allow Iran to have nuclear capability. That is madness. We must work together to prevent that. The current agreement puts both Israel and the United States in danger and shakes the stability of the entire region in the Middle East. It is not enough to enforce all the sections and the parts of the agreement. It has to be improved so that we will be prepared for the day after it expires. Friends, maintaining the security of Israel as a Jewish and democratic state is also a founding principle in any future agreement with the Palestinians. Oh, thank you so very much. I thought, how can I get water? Really, thank you. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict, as I describe it as the Israeli-Palestinian tragedy, will not be solved by boycotts or by unilateral steps. The political hijack of international bodies, from the United Nations to the Interpol, only harm the chance of reaching a solution. My family has been living in Jerusalem for more than 200 years, along with all the Jerusalemites. Actually, I would like to introduce myself to those who don't know me, not as Reuven and not as Ruvi. I'm a Jerusalemite, son of Jerusalemites, son of the son of Jerusalemites. Son of the son of the son of Jerusalemites goes back 7 generations to the year 1809. And we came to Jerusalem and my ancestors came to Jerusalem not because it was 1809. It was very important at the time. But the year, according to the Jewish calendar, was the year mentioned by 3 letters, Taf Kuf Ayin. And everyone or anyone who knows Hebrew knows that Taf Kuf Ayin are 3 letters that means this in one word, Tka, which means sound or blow. Blow the great shofar to proclaim freedom to the Jewish people. My grandfather have ordered his pupil. He was the Vilna Gaon. He was a great man in Vilna that was defined at the time as Jerusalem of Lita. He have said to them, the Messiah is going to come to Jerusalem on Sukkot, Tafkuf Ayin. How come the Messiah will get to Jerusalem and the Rivlin family will not welcome him? Since then, we are there, preparing ourselves and believe that every day he will come. Actually, we are going to sleep with our shoes on to be the first to welcome him. Yes, I grew up living side by side in good relation with the Arab residents and the Palestinians of Jerusalem. My father, he was a scholar, he was a professor in the Hebrew University, although he was a native, the Israeli native, of course, the Palestinian one. My father devoted his life to the mission of translating the Quran, the Holy Quran for the Muslim, from Arabic into Hebrew. The Jewish people, the state of Israel, have never been and will never be at war with Islam. The lives of Palestinians the life of Palestinians and Israelis, Arabs and Jews are bound together. We live side by side and with each other. We share the same land, the same holy places, the same water we drink, and the same sky above us. There will be no peace. There will be no peace until we all understand that we are not doomed to live together. It is our destiny to live together. Arabs and Jews, and they have to understand that the Jewish people have returned back to the only homeland they have, the land of Israel, Eretz Israel, and we are ready to live along with them. In the current situation, we must focus on what we can achieve today. For example, Jerusalem is a microcosm of our ability, Jews and Arabs, to live together. Or God forbid, a proof that we cannot live together. We can and should develop the eastern side of Jerusalem under the sovereignty of Israel and give hope to all the Jerusalemites. Keep Jerusalem one in words and in action. Peace is not a moment in time. Peace is a process of building confidence, of action, of improve the lives of all those living in the region. Sisters and brothers, dear friend, these are the tasks before us. The fight against anti-Semitism, keeping Jewish identity, safeguarding the security of Israel. We must continue to pass these duties to our children and grandchildren from one generation to the next. Dear brothers and sisters, today, 70 years since it's established, Israel has never been better. We enjoy the vibrant and stable democracy with positive economic growth, increasing export, and low unemployment rate. Today, Israel is a world high-tech power, a world center of excellence in the fields of cyber technology, water, and agriculture. Israel, with 8 million citizens, is 6.5 million Jews, is third in the world in the number of patents per person. Every 8 hours, a new startup is born in Israel that seeks to change the whole world. This is the unbelievable story of the startup nation. But beside this amazing story, Israel today faces a very big challenge. How can we turn, Professor Yossi Yona, this startup nation into startup nation for all the citizens of Israel? How can we make the Israeli dream accessible to every young man and woman in Israel? To the young Haredi men in Bnei Brak, to the young Arab woman from the Bedouin town of Raat. You see, Israeli society is going through a major change. It is changing from society made up of clear Zionist majority to a society made up of 4 clear sectors or tribes which are getting closer in size. The secular Jews, the national, we have the 4 tribes, the secular Jews, the national religious Jews, the Haredim, and the Arabs, all of them Israelis. These sectors study in separate education system. Everyone has his own education system, live in separate towns, have different media, different newspapers, hold different ideas about Israel and its values. These demographic changes are not less than an earthquake, and we have to be aware of that. When we look at today's first grade classes, where about 50% Arab and Haredim, we must ask ourselves, what are the values shared by the majority of Israelis today? That is, in a reality where about 50% of the first grade children do not necessarily sing our anthem, Hatikva. How can we promise the prosperity of Israel when the Arabs and the Haredim are not yet an effective part in Israel's economy. This new Israeli reality is a huge economic challenge for Israel, but also a serious liberal and Jewish challenge. How can we create a common language? How can we create a shared Israeli hope? I believe that this challenge of creating a partnership between the four tribes is one of the most significant challenges that the state of Israel faces today. In order to meet these challenges, we need the partnership with you, the fifth tribe, a very important tribe among the fifth, and we are not counting them as the first and the second or the third or the fourth or the fifth. We are all tribes, equal. And I really believe that we need your partnership, the Jews of the diaspora. Ensuring Israeli hope for every young man and woman in Israel is also the key of ensuring the Jewish hope altogether. This is the Jewish and democratic state that we all dreamed of for 2,000 years. For my family, it took only 1,800 years. A state based on the vision of the prophets of Israel. A state that respects the unique identity of each sector in Israeli society and in the Jewish people. A state that regards equality and fairness as a guiding light. A state that demands shared responsibility for all. A state that does not compromise at all on its Jewish identity or its vision, Jewish peoplehood, while also having a vision of a shared Israeli identity for all its citizens, Jews and non-Jews alike. The President's office in Jerusalem is working together with the government minister and other organizations to promote this vision. We are trying our best. Some of our partners are here today among with us from the United States. I invite all of you to join us in this important effort. In 2017, this is Zionism. It is about seeing the challenges of the moment and facing them with courage and with open heart. It is about keeping the state of Israel as a democratic Jewish state, democratic and Jewish bedibur echad, in a single word. Dear friends, the Jewish people was always invested not only in its own prosperity, but also in the task of tikkun olam, making the world a better place. The national dimension and the universal dimension, these are the two foundations of the Jewish people. Spinoza and Rabbi Yehuda Halevi, the Rambam, Maimonides, Einstein and Ben-Gurion, Hannah Senesh, Rabbi Heschel, and Rosalind Franklin, Bialik and Leonard Cohen. Cut one of them down, and you have killed the soul of this nation. Like the state of Israel, the Jewish people have never been in a better state. Safer, more vibrant, stronger. It is true, the Jewish people are doing well. Yes, are doing well, very well. But the Jewish people are also doing good. The aid sent by Israel to countries in crisis like Nepal, Haiti, Mexico, in Africa, implementation of Israeli technology of water and agriculture, as we are doing today in India and in Vietnam, and I visited them, and in many places in Africa and in Central America. Life-saving Israeli technology like Mobileye. The treatment of thousands of Syrians in Israeli hospitals. Jewish mission to communities in need around the world. Jewish donation of hundreds of millions of dollars to developing countries. We do good. Yes, we do good. But we can do even better if we do it together. We should select shared missions, the Jewish people and the state of Israel, for Tikkun Olam. Just imagine the change we can do together. I would be very happy to plan together with you a conference at the President's house in Jerusalem so that we work together on our shared goals. Let's put the arguments, and I know, dear brothers and sisters, my dear family, I know that we have arguments. Let's put them aside and work together in order also to solve the disagreements between us. Let's develop our mutual commitment as well as a value and as an action for the good of the Jewish people, for the good of the state of Israel, for the good of the whole world, and for the good of America, that I am a guest just now here. God bless America. God bless you all, my dear family. God bless you all.
Thank you so much.
It is a pleasure. Thank you. Thank you so very much.
Walk out with me.
Oh, okay.
If you want to stop here and take
Okay.
a quick picture.
Okay, I'll be delighted to. Let's shake real hands.
Okay. Thank you.